Hey guys, this is Justice for All podcast, part two of our child separation and our Peter Strzok IG file episode. So we were just pretty much talking about how fucked up the Democrats are. You should look at the first part for sure. A lot of information in there. Gage. So, excuse me. I was just wondering. We pretty much, I mean, there's a few more things maybe we could say about the border stuff, but then I like to go into the consul stuff. So is there anything you'd like to add on the border situation?
Yeah, we got probably one more topic and then we can move on. So as far as the whole border thing goes in general, I think at the very beginning, whenever the story broke, the Democrats had some traction with regards to it, and Trump was in some hot water for a little bit. But as soon as that Time article came out and they proved that girl was never separated from her family, and that her mom was basically smuggling stuff and stuff like that, they lost basically any ground that they gained. And it seems like this whole controversy is going to be a short-term thing as well. And all the pictures are coming out about with the kids sleeping in cages or whatever, but those are being proven to be from 2014 under Obama, and stuff like that. They're just using old pictures and trying to pin it on Trump, basically. And and in some cases, like the Time article, they're just using outright lies.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's obvious at this point because they've been doing it his whole presidency, but it's ridiculous the lengths that the media and the Democrats and everything else will go to try and undermine him.
Well,
it's flat out ridiculous.
Yeah, like we were mentioning earlier, it's pretty much like with anything. Like I said, I really don't, as bad as it sounds, I don't think it's that bad of policy. I think it should change. The legislators need to, not Trump. Trump can't do anything really right now about it. Enforce the law, and really, man, if they have such a, like I said, big problem with children being separated from their families, don't come here illegally. You break the rules.
Well, that's the thing too. It's look how many families get split up as us being citizens.
Yeah.
It's if you're a drug addict, if you're freaking, some kind of criminal or something like that, you're going to get split up from your kid too whenever you go to jail. Or they, like DCF here in Florida comes and takes custody of the kid because the parent can't parent, or, they're on drugs or whatever else. It's they do that all the time. And you don't see any outrage about that, but as soon as, some illegal immigrants come across the border illegally, and their families end up getting separated, then all of a sudden there's this giant outrage.
Well, yeah, this is exactly the underlying problems that we were just laying out in the last segment. It's a common theme, man. It's just I'm not surprised anymore. That's why. And again, this isn't even what matters right now. What matters right now is they just get. It just makes me mad because they get instead of progressing conversations and try and find solutions to problems, they just come up with bullshit to change the news cycle or change their mind, again, to talk about other outrageous stuff. It's this is nonsense. It's just annoying. Trump, keep it going, keep enforcing the illegal policy until it needs to change or until your goal is accomplished. You're the man, you're doing great stuff. Illegal immigration's down 35% since the Trump presidency, and I see that keep going down. So.
Yeah, well, and one of the other tactics by the left too is if you support deporting illegals and stuff like that, then they're like, oh, well, you better have not ever been an underage drinker or smoked pot in your entire life because then you're breaking the law and blah blah blah. And it's first of all, from that perspective, if you're smoking weed or if you're underage drinking or whatever, you're only affecting yourself. You're not affecting anyone else. Whereas whereas illegal immigration affects other people in their own communities and stuff like that. And second of all, it's like whenever we were underage, it's like we knew the risks. If you got caught, you face the punishments.
Well, yeah.
And, that's the way it is.
And
It's like, I'm not going to sit there and cry because, like if somebody broke the law and, they were underage drinking or smoking pot and got caught or whatever, it's like, the risks.
Yeah.
If you get caught, you get caught. We can disagree with the laws. We can say, I believe the drinking age should be 18 or I believe pot should be legal. But with the way the law is now, you risk getting caught.
And what you do is vote people in there to help fix that.
Help change the laws.
Which which I see nothing wrong with. And it's like these illegal people coming in too. Again, there's an illegal threat that they're going to break the law, and it's a fucking illegal problem that we don't even need to face because they're here illegally. If we take out the illegals, we don't even have the threat of illegal crimes. Like, those crimes happening. We can avoid potential crime. A bunch of good stuff happening with illegal people not being here. But anyway, so is there anything else you wanted to add? Or?
I think we can probably move on. Okay. That's a good job of covering everything.
So there's been a couple things. For you guys that don't know, there's this IG report, Inspector General, who the Trump administration initially, I think, launched not an investigation, but said, hey, we should check this out, because he has reason to believe that there's bias in the DOJ, FBI from top to down, some of the Democratic Party, things like that. So they had this guy come in, Horowitz, do this report to see what he could find, an unbiased thing, because the DOJ can't inspect itself, obviously. And he looked into like the Mueller probe, all these things. And the first section of his report was in regards to the Hillary investigation. And there was a consul last week that met to, these guys, the IG inspector guy was under oath, or Horowitz and Director Wade, the new FBI director. They were together under oath in front of this special counsel to get questions asked because of this damning report that came out. The report pretty much, if you guys haven't read, it's like I think 500 to 800 page document about how the people that launched the Mueller investigation, the Hillary investigation, all this stuff, and even all before that, all these things before the presidential election, how some of these things might have been affected by bias or whatever. It's just a third party report. They, as of right now, Peter Strzok, which was one of the main guys in the FBI who was the main investigator in the Hillary Clinton investigation. He's also the one that was the main guy for the Trump Mueller investigation, all this stuff. Not just him, though. There's been these same group of people doing it. And we've said this. You and I think, have said these kind of things before. We said this for a year. And it's not, and it's being covered up. I mean, there's coverage on it, but you have to dig deep, man. And it's been this is arguably one of the most important things, because this is stuff that is how some people might call me a conspiracy theorist. Well, this is a conspiracy theorist fucking dream, man, because this shit coming out right now, in the last only month or two. Now, remember, the Mueller investigation has taken over a year now. In 2 months, we found out that these guys are corrupt. There's a bunch of people that have a clear political bias, and they're conducting all these investigations. They're fucking conducting everything. Every time they take people to court, they're all on the same fucking side. The media, they're buying each other. This is a clear thing, and it's blowing my mind. I can't believe more people are talking about this. But just today, Peter Strzok, the guy I was just telling you about, he went behind closed doors. Why isn't he on an on council in front of a bunch of people and cameras? Why is it, this is bullshit, man. But today, they're apparently grilling him. He's behind closed doors testifying. We'll see what fucking comes out. I'm sure it's going to be a fucking love fest, as it usually is. Because, I don't know, I think there has to be something done. And they're right now debating whether to do criminal investigations against, the Clintons on these now, which they should. and some Secret Service people are starting to. I know the Clintons are now being sued and their foundation by like several Secret Service members, and we'll see who all what that's all about. That'll play out. I think also tomorrow or sometime later this week, Robert Mueller, that console and this IG report that will be evaluated sometime this week. So last week it was the Hillary Clinton thing. This week I think they're going to do the Mueller and see all that. And it's funny because I'll show a clip of one of the probably the best questioning of this whole thing, and the Republicans, I mean by no surprise, was really grilling in the questions, asking the questions that count. All of the Democrats in this thing, I don't want to show you a Democratic clip. I could show you one, and they're all pretty much mirrored the same. They all asked, how is this in reference to the Mueller investigation and all that? And time again, these people are like, well, our report only covers the Hillary Clinton thing. Hillary Clinton. We didn't look into Mueller. That's next, So they kept that, softball questions. But first of all, I'll get your take, Gage, and then I'll show you this. I'll play this video, a 7-minute video about Lindsey Graham really grilling this guy. And this is just, like, again, the foundation of things that could really change for the better of this country. And we need to restart something. I don't know what needs to get done, but there's a bunch of corrupt shit, and we need to fix it to get, American principles back. So is there anything you wanted to add? I'm sorry I kind of went over there, but I thought...
No, you're fine.
I
agree with all that.
Yeah.
And, the Inspector General report basically came out, and he was, like, he said in his report that somehow he couldn't find political bias, but yet, like, his report says the exact opposite if you read everything that they said. They said that Comey acted, recklessly and carelessly in the investigation and basically ignored everything, and the Inspector General basically would have reached a different judgment, is what he was saying. Yeah. And the same with the Peter Strzok and even Mueller investigation.
Well, exactly.
At this point, it's like, even though they haven't gone into that, it's all corrupt.
You're right, and this is, like I said, the groundwork of people are like Trump could release the classified files to all of us, answer all our questions real quick, but I think it's a game that he wants to see. I think it's something that Trump wants to see how this all plays out, see if the system works, and to show people, hey, look, these people aren't what they seem, and look. I think it's a game to him. And I think if this doesn't go the way he wants, I think he will declassify those files. I think they're going to be fucked anyway, and that's why we see this outrage. It's a cause and effect thing, man, and you're exactly right. I think the reason why I laid it out like I did is because I want people to understand this, because a lot of people don't even know this happened, Gage. That's what's
the media did a good job of covering it up.
Well, exactly.
Because they're all on lead together.
So,
it's like, with all these reports that come out and everything, they basically say that all these people have committed criminal acts, but then they don't recommend anything be done to them.
Exactly.
Because they're all in league together, and, they don't want to criminally prosecute anyone, even though all the evidence is right in front of them. It's like whenever Comey first came out with his, recommendation back during the elections. He said Hillary was guilty, basically, and everything, he said that she sent classified material to people that she shouldn't have, all this other stuff. She acted recklessly and carelessly, but then his judgment was nothing should be done.
Interns are
and it's the same with this Inspector General and everything else. It's like they're all in league together. And, they all lay out the crimes, and it's like, they get like a slap on the wrist, and that's it.
Interns smashing computers that were subpoenaed, but that's all fine.
It's all fine. You did it, and I'm gonna say you did it, but I'm not gonna recommend it.
She wasn't under oath or anything. She could have a team of lawyers. But anyway, they're also trying to play the Democrats. They're trying to play the angle that, there was no bias because it benefited Trump. The reason why it benefited Trump is because this team of people were seeing that Trump is becoming a threat. They've known about the Clinton thing for months ahead of time. They tried to do this Russian investigation as a plan B or, build a case there. They kept doing it, kept pushing the Clinton stuff, until they could not push the Clinton stuff. It was election time, and I think fucking Comey's just a dipshit. I think there's clear bias, and that he just fucked up because he let his bias let them lose. Because if, he just couldn't ignore the facts anymore. It's sickening. But let me play this Lindsey Graham thing We'll wrap up the second part, and then we'll talk about that and the rest of this in the next segment, okay?
Okay.
So it's a Senator Graham during that last week, Clinton email thing for the IG report, about 7 minutes long here. It's very fucking crazy. And I think he heads home. This is exactly the kind of question he needs. And a lot of the Republicans, like Ted Cruz and stuff, also grilled him the same way. Just take a listen. I think this is the best. This is my favorite. I laughed. It's comical.
Hard to say what by the book is.
This book. Stand by the book.
I think there are reasons to raise questions on certain of these steps.
I think you did a good job, but the whole idea that this is normal, folks, there's nothing here normal.
So that's Lindsey
I don't want you to
Graham
think
for
the FBI
people
does
listening.
this day in and day out. This is not normal. But I think that's what you tried to find.
Yeah.
Do you believe it's pretty clear to everybody in the country by July the 5th that Donald Trump was the presumptive nominee of the Republican Party?
That's my recollection. And from the text, it's pretty
was on the
clear.
18th. Yeah.
Right. And the texts, I think, reflect that as well.
Okay, I'm going to read this text message from Page to Strzok on August the 8th, after he got the nomination. She says, Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Right? Strzok responded, no, he's not. Well, stop it. Now, I don't know how you feel about that. That's pretty unnerving. Strzok, wasn't he the lead investigator of the Clinton email investigation?
He was, in essence, the lead investigator.
Okay, so the head guy looking at Clinton on August the 8th says we got to stop Trump. Now, was that just idle talk? A week later, here's what they say to each other. Strzok text message to Lisa Page. I want to believe the path you threw out for consideration in Andy's office, that there's no way he gets elected, but I'm afraid we can't take that risk. It's like an insurance policy in the unlikely event you die before you're 40. Now that's a week later. Who's Andy?
Our understanding it was Andy McCabe, the deputy director.
So you got the deputy director meeting with the lead investigator of the Clinton email investigation, and Miss Page, who's involved somehow, meeting in Andy's office discussing taking out an insurance policy to make sure Donald Trump doesn't become president. Is that what you're telling us?
I'll be clear. I can't speak to whether Mr. McCabe was there or not.
You asked Mr. McCabe.
We did. He said he was not. He did not recall.
So one of them's lying. So I want you to reopen this investigation and come back and tell us. Do you believe Strzok or do you believe McCabe? Because you just told me the deputy director of the FBI says he's not the Andy.
Oh, just to be clear, if they're talking about a conversation in his office, he's claiming, he is stating he does not recall whether he was there or not. And neither of those individuals are putting him in the middle of their conversation.
All I'm saying is that the Andy's office where this occurred, he wasn't there. What did Strzok say he was there?
Strzok says he was there.
Well, somebody's lying. So anyway, we'll figure that out later. None of this is normal, folks. Let's look at the actual interview itself. How many people were involved in the Clinton interview on July the 2nd?
There were, I believe, 6 or 8 people present, but 2 agents conducting the interview.
So as I understand it, there were 2 agents and 2 prosecutors.
Correct.
Okay. Now this was an email sent in February 2016 from Page to McCabe. Hey, you surely already considered this, but in my view, our best reason to hold the line at 2 and 2, 2 agents and 2 prosecutors, is she might be our next president. How did you feel about that?
We were concerned about it, and we lay out here why we were.
Okay, let's keep talking about this interview. One of the FBI agents in the interview said on election day to another FBI agent, you should know that I'm with her. Now, her was Clinton, right?
Correct.
How you feel about that?
Very concerned.
Okay, eventually very concerned gets to be enough already. I'm very concerned. I'm glad I don't text an email. That's one thing I'm glad I don't do. But have you ever proved a case by circumstantial evidence, Director Ray?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to write you a letter and talk about why you should reconsider your findings as to whether or not it affected the investigation. Here's what Miss Page said on March the 4th, 2016.
It's just like
God,
obvious.
Trump is a loathsome human. How you feel about that? I mean, she's entitled to her opinion.
I think we've laid out here why we were so concerned about it.
Well, when you add it all up, as early as March, these people hated Trump, and this investigation was anything but by the book. And at the end of the day, what Comey did just blows me away as much as it does y'all. And I can't believe that this happened to my FBI. I told you the story, Mr. Ray, Director Ray, about wanting to be part of the organization, and y'all were smart enough not to take me. The bottom line is, if you're on our side of the aisle, this really does hit you hard. And we can't just write it off. I think there was a lot of bias that did affect an investigation that is, to me, almost impossible to explain using any standard that I grew up with as a prosecutor or even as a defense attorney. This is struck the page on October 20th. Trump is an effing idiot. Bottom line is, I'm glad you found what you found, Mr. Horowitz. I'm not buying that the Clinton email investigation was on the up and up. And the reason I'm not buying it is because the two people intimately involved, one, the guy, the lead investigator, clearly did not want to see Donald Trump become president of the United States.
Okay. All right. So we'll be right back. This is the part 2. Like, wow, man. Wow. This is the part 2 of the whatever podcast. Justice for All podcast. We'll come back to it part 3.